On this fantastic episode of the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast, we're diving into it, man. The new horses for the Denver Broncos and maybe more to come. Plus, maybe a quick look at the AFC West. All that and more as we get started on the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. Let's get started. Come on, let's go. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast, man. Jumping in here day after day, night after night. We were just on last night with an emergency podcast, but we're right back with it again tonight. My name is Keith Brugman. I got one of the best in the business right alongside me. I was thinking about nicknames today. I think I might have one up in the queue, but for tonight, he's just Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick. How you doing tonight, Kenny?
Do my best attempt at a mile-high salute to you and the posse out there. I see a bunch of names already coming in. We love you all. Ready for a fun show. A little quiet today, but I think tomorrow you're going to see a few players released, and you're going to have the aftershock tomorrow. You're going to see a lot more names signing tomorrow, but a couple names, just went off the board a little bit. We got some more news for everybody. We got some predictions. We're going to have a fun show, as always, and the posse's going to help us out, I know, in the only way they can, the best around in business. Let's go, posse.
Yeah, the posse. All those coming in live. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're also broadcast out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you happen to be taking us along for the ride. But if you're here live, man, you're part of the posse, man. You're joining in here with us. Bringing comments, bringing questions, bringing ideas. Man, it's always fantastic to interact with y'all. Like Pearl is coming in saying hello to Keith, and I'm sure because I just jumped on to begin with, that's why I got that recognition, because she comes back in and says hi, Kenny and Keith, a little bit later. Ernie May is coming in and saying, go Broncos country only. Bo Nix for 6. Hello, Keith and Trevor and Jody and friends.
My guy Ernie with the right hook. Let's go, Ernie.
Let's do it, buddy. Let's do it. Roy Osborne. Hey, Horseman and the posse. 2 little bits of news with the Broncos. Yeah, little bits of news coming around. You had some, Kenny?
I just said hello to Roy, as always. Good to see you, my friend.
Good, my good friend, Jeremy Dressler coming in saying, what's up, fellas? Go Broncos. Man, just enjoying what the Denver Broncos are doing, who they are, who they're becoming. We continue to build, and I think we got some exciting pieces as of yesterday, and maybe, just maybe, more to come as well. Michael Ronquillo coming in here. Is that right, Kenny?
Yes.
Is that right? That's exactly right?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Michael Ronquillo coming in here. Good evening, Keith and Kenny and Gobo Broncos, Orange and Blue Hearts. And he's out there. He's dropping 1,000 stars. Kenny's doing his best Taylor Swift heart impersonation with his fingers there. And no.
Everybody's friend, Michael Ronquillo. We love you. Great supporter of all the shows, all of us out there.
Yeah. I don't know what to say because we don't get things like that all that often. Michael, thank you so very much, man. Really means a lot. And Michael's been hanging with us for a long time. Called out Michael last night saying, man, if you want a guy to follow when it comes to Broncos, and as Kenny pointed out, sports in general, go follow Michael Ronquillo. Ask him for a friend request. If you're into WWE, he's got you covered there too. Not saying that's not a sport. Man, man, let's get it kicked off, man, because there were a lot of different signings, but might as well get it kicked off with this one that Michael Ronquillo is coming in with, man, because it's one of the latest ones. I'm sorry, I think he threw me off a little bit. Trent Sherfield, wide receiver and special teamer. Trent Sherfield, 2-year deal for Mr. Trent Sherfield, coming off the heels, and I kind of almost brushed over it when our good friend, my good friend Trevor was on last night, that Tremont Smith is no longer a Denver Bronco. Trent Sherfield is going to be that replacement for Tremont Smith.
Yeah, Keith, you can have a great offense, you can have a great defense. Special teams get overlooked by not only us and fans, the posse, but they get overlooked by some teams as well. And bringing Sherfield in for 2-year deal tells me that the Broncos are not overlooking special teams, and they're going to want their special teams to be pretty good this year. And that's a pretty good replacement for Smith, in my opinion. So I do like the move. I'll give it, if I had to grade it, I'd give it a B, a solid B with a chance to go up to an A.
I'll be honest. I haven't seen enough Trent Sherfield to even give a grade of it, but I do know he's a special teamer that's been out in the league for about 5 years, and had some moderate success as a wide receiver at one point, but really not what he's known for. It's really about trying to figure out that guy that's going to be replacing Tremont Smith, because let's face it, he was one of the best gunners out there. He was down there on every single play. You didn't see a punt that Tremont Smith wasn't involved in, it seemed like. And, that's what we brought Tremont Smith in for. He was never going to be the wide receiver 3 or the wide receiver 4. He was brought in for one reason, and one reason only. So hopefully Trent Sherfield Jr. Comes in and he's able to maybe replicate a little bit of what Tremont Smith was able to do. A good friend, Phil McLaughlin, good evening, Keith and Kenny. Great to see 2 great additions. He's given these ones a B+. And Phil, we're just going to go.
I thought he was talking about you and I, Keith. 2 great additions. Oh, okay, Phil. I got. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Phil.
Wouldn't have got that great of a grade, Kenny. Wouldn't have been. That's what clued me in. I knew that I would be dragging you down on that average, so couldn't have been a B+ with me on the screen. But that being said, let's go ahead and talk about it, man. Let's hit the big one first. We talked about it last night. I think it's still sinking in, but Dre Greenlaw being the big addition, inside linebacker, Denver Broncos. I don't know if you went back and looked at any, had the time to contemplate the signing that we went out and got in one Dre Greenlaw. Again, just want to get your ideas, your thoughts, your reactions to what that means for this Denver Broncos team.
You get a leader, you get somebody in the middle of the defense that you needed, linebacker, and they were going fast. And in my opinion, you said it yesterday's show, Keith, that he was number 76 player and he only played 2 snaps. If he played 10 or more games, he would have been by far the number 1 linebacker on the board over Zach Baun. And myself included, kind of overlooked Greenlaw a little bit because, when you don't see him play for pretty much a whole year, that's a little concerning, but players come back from that injury. And I have all the confidence in the world that he will come back from that injury. And now you got a nice front on your defense. Now you got a solid guy to call the defense. And of course you got your secondary led by PS2 and the next edition we're going to talk about soon, but A+ on paper, has to stay healthy, could be an A+ all around, for next season, the whole season. So great move, in my opinion, and the most needed move, in my opinion.
Well, and that's why I'm willing to give that one in of itself a B+. Dre Greenlaw, if he was 100% healthy, I think you're like you said, he could be an A+ type of player. Right now, you can't put him there. And honestly, if we were sitting better at linebacker heading into free agency, I don't know if I would have rated Dre Greenlaw all the way up to a B+ because of the injury history, and I would like to see just a little bit more from him. But you add all those factors together, and a B+ signing by far to get Dre Greenlaw in here, leading the Denver Broncos. As far as that linebacking core, and who knows, probably maybe that green dot and that microphone in the helmet, you know what I mean, or speaker in the helmet. So Dre Greenlaw, just a guy, and I've seen all these different stats about how well he's guarded Kelsey and the whole nine. It's because the guy's got fantastic instincts. I just love the way that he's able to process football when he's on the field. He's truly an athlete, and you can tell that he does his work. He's dialed in, and I can't wait to see him on the field. Again, out there just causing havoc and chasing down, the guys that we need chased down in this day and age, and the game we play called football. Want to get to just the other one real quick, but I want to say hello to a few more. We got Mr. Albert Mile High Dutchie coming in and saying, "What's up, y'all? Good to see you, man."
I think his wife celebrated a birthday yesterday or today, Dutchie. I apologize if I'm wrong, but happy birthday to your lovely wife, Michelle.
Yeah, happy birthday, Michelle, and good to see you, Dutchie, as well. Surfield with a lot of does a lot of little things well. With a lot of little things well, says Roy Osborne. And Pearl's coming in on YouTube with a great question. Well, Phil, you guys, A+, man. Well, thank you, man. Appreciate that. Let's just hit the other one really quick. Talanoa Hufanga. Man, what another crazy, dialed in athlete, athletic, instinctual, downhill type of guy that's now, in that safety spot for us, kind of locking up the position and holding us true on the back end.
Yeah, this was, I alluded, his comparison to him could be a poor man's Troy Polamalu. And this is a solid A pickup for the Broncos, in my opinion, on a spot also needed an upgrade for sure. So Hufanga, there was three big ones out there. It was Justin Reed, there was Harad, and of course Hufanga. And, I think you got one of the best, if not the best. So this move, solid A. And I'm going to answer Roy's question. He says, our defense on paper looks really good, Keith. The question, will they mesh well together?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do think they will mesh well together, Roy, because most of your defense is back. And the two guys you brought in were teammates on the 49ers. So those two new guys that are coming in played together, and they're coming in to play with a whole new team. But so you're bringing in two guys. I think the mesh will be no problem. I think this team's right now top 5 on paper, with ceiling to be the top defense in the league next year with these two moves.
I was trying to think, and I didn't look it up before we went on. DJ Jones might have played with Dre Greenlaw as well, if I remember correctly. I think they were on the 49ers together before DJ Jones came over as well. So might be lining up behind the guy that used to line up for him for the 49ers. I did want to just to give a quick call out because when we had oh my goodness, losing my thoughts. Phil McLaughlin coming in, he was giving the grades. He dropped 100 stars as well, man. So thank you very much, Phil. Appreciate the little help that you give, and 100 stars ain't just a little help; it's a lot of help. Thank you very much. I wanted to give a grade though on Talanoa Hufanga. I'm trying to say it again and again, so it just becomes really, really dialed in. We're going to be saying that name a lot, I think, next season. I think that he is another guy, like you said, whether you talk about a Troy Polamalu or just, again, that guy that's out there and he's rangy and he's instinctual and he's a little bit reckless, like you'd see like from a Troy Polamalu. And I'm excited to see what Hufanga. I'm going to go ahead and I'll give him an A- at this point because, again, big key need. Has a little bit of a safety, has a little bit of injury concern. But, there's something about this Denver Broncos team and the strength and conditioning that we've put in place. I think this team is definitely on the up and up. up on the up and up as far as that is concerned. So
And I just want to correct myself. I don't know why I said Harrod was on my mind. Javon Holland was the third safety.
yes.
Justin Reed, those three, depending on the team and what you're looking for in your defense, any one of those three were ranked number 1 to 3. They were that close together. So Broncos got one of the best in free agency, in my opinion.
I just like the way, and to go kind of to the question that will they mesh together? Roy, I think that's one of the reasons that I do like these players and these pieces, because when you start talking about the, I don't know, aggressive style that this defense has played, again, you need a Dre Greenlaw who can either come downhill and fill the hole, chase out there on screens and wide zone running plays, or be in coverage in some capacity as well. When you look at a guy that needs to be able to come down and fill that on the back end, yeah, I mean, you don't get much better than Huafanga, in my opinion. So for Michael, he says a grade A when healthy, a grade B with the injury. And I think that's fair as well. So we've been hearing a lot of it in the from the posse. And he just pointed out as well. We had some exits as well for the Denver Broncos. And one of the big ones that we didn't get to on last night's podcast, but we certainly need to get to is on this one. There was a contract offer made, but in the end, he had a couple of contract offers. The Denver Broncos one was pushed to the side so Riley Dixon could go become a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That's caused a little bit of havoc. A little bit of havoc for the Denver Broncos. I was just trying to get to the comment, but it was, go ahead, buddy. Havoc because of this punter situation. Riley Dixon was big. Riley Dixon was big for the Broncos last year.
Yeah, and in our next segment coming up, we got some names that we think could be added to the Broncos, and Posse and Phil and everybody. Keith and I both had a punter that we thought that the Broncos would pick, but they both got signed already. I had Johnny Hecker, and he went to the Panthers, and Keith had Sam Martin, and I know he got signed. I forget where he went, but he got signed. But to answer your question there, Phil and Miss Pearl, I know you asked earlier and a couple other people, this is the perfect draft. The Broncos having 3 6th-round picks to go get a punter in the 6th round. I know it's not a sexy pick, but what picks are in the 6th round? So you can get one of the best punters coming out of college at a cheaper discounted rate because he's on a rookie contract, and the Broncos could save a little money by drafting a punter. Get one of the top punters in the draft, in my opinion, Keith, would be the way I would go.
It's getting a lot tougher, man. There's not a whole lot of free agent punters out there, man. Like you said, we had a couple of guys on our list, but all of a sudden it starts getting a little bit scarce. You know what I mean? And it becomes a little bit tougher to try to find somebody, who's out there. I mean, Sam Martin went back. I'll just spoil who we had out there. I was my big pick, to maybe solidify this for you, Mr. Johnny Hecker. Johnny Hecker signs a 1-year deal. So it's starting to become a little bit tighter. It'll be interesting to see, and I think you're right. I think that we definitely could see, a punter coming out of not just free agency, but the draft as well.
Yeah. Great question there, chat. And we were on it too. We were going to bring it up a little later, but it's a great question because it's a position that gets overlooked, and it's a weapon. If you can find a punter that can bury you inside the 20, and Denver can use it, bad weather games, cold weather games, the air's thin up in Denver, you pin your defense, pin your opponent inside the 20 with the defense that the Broncos have on paper. So Important to see where the Broncos go for punter. I think Roy said Stonehouse is out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go and do some research. My homework for the week will be to research some rookie punters that are coming out in the draft and could be an option in the 6th round. And I'll give the posse a couple names next week to look for in the draft as a possibility.
Yeah. I think he's saying Hecker there as well, but Hecker's went back and he
Hecker
said
did go back. Yeah.
Yep. And the one he really wanted, which was Anger for the Dallas Cowboys, he ended up going back as well. I missed the second part of Phil's question. Let me see. Cam Miller. Do you think he'll be our 3rd quarterback? He's asking. I know there's Cam Miller has gotten a little bit of I don't know, headlines as of lately. You know what I mean, and kind of rising up just enough that could be in the ranks for the Denver Broncos. I think the Denver Broncos have a big question in front of them, Phil. I think they're one of the few teams that do carry a 3rd quarterback, even with the emergency quarterback type of rules. Not everyone's opting for that. I'm wondering what year, and maybe it's not in this regime, that we don't carry 3 quarterbacks. Let's face it. I mean, Jarrett Stidham is going to be about as reliable as a backup as you're going to get. Nothing too high, nothing too low. Go out there and just hopefully hold down the fort until Bo Nix could return if he happens to step out. And if you have to go beyond Jarrett Stidham, I think you have to be a little bit concerned. Now, going out there and taking a flyer on a late round quarterback in order to, maybe bring somebody in. Does he make it all the way through? Does he end up being part of the practice squad or anything like that? Who knows? But I wouldn't put a whole lot into a third string quarterback. I'm the opposite of Sean Payton, but doesn't matter if it's Cam Miller, doesn't matter if it's Cam Ward. I don't think that we need to bring in competition. I don't think that we need to have a 3rd string quarterback. And this might be the year that, again, with the way that I think the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix, Sean Payton feels about Jarrett Stidham might be the year that you can just stay on the steady.
Yeah, I agree, Keith. I think if anything, maybe you see an undrafted rookie quarterback free agent, compete for that position. There's some names that, and you can get them on the minimum, bring that in as an emergency 3rd string quarterback, like you said, to compete with Cam Miller. But I would keep Cam Miller as the 3rd quarterback right now. And, I don't see much more need for any competition as a 3rd string.
Yeah, Sam Martin signed with the Carolina Panthers. And truth be told, we got a brand new watcher, viewer, listener called Truth Be Told over on YouTube. Nice to see you, man. Going to give us a shot. And he says, I'm new to this chat, man. So welcome to the posse. Come in with any thoughts, questions, ideas that you may have as well. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I didn't expect that Riley Dixon was going to be out the door. I thought Riley Dixon did a phenomenal job last year. You talk about the amount of times that we had people pinned deep within the 10-yard line, within the 5-yard line. His ability to drop them in there was fantastic. And now you're out there looking for somebody else. You're looking – I don't think you need the big booming leg. This Denver Broncos defense does a pretty phenomenal job. This offense can move the ball far enough down the field that you just need somebody who can actually be accurate in what they do. Kenny, me and you go back a long ways, but there used to be some specialist in the punting game that used to be able to direct that punt and put it out of bounds at the 2-yard line like nobody's business. It used to be called the old coffin kick. Yeah. Put it right there in the coffin corner, they used to say. And it's just something I would love to see. It doesn't mean that you have to have the biggest leg. It was the accuracy of being able to place it like that.
Yep, and keep the ball out of the returner's hands.
Absolutely. Karen's in here as well saying, here I am. Good to see you. Well, let's see what Truth Be Told has to say. First time viewer, listener, watcher says, I would prefer that we trade back and get an extra third D line in the first.
Extra
Harold
third pick,
Fannin Jr.,
get an extra pick. I think he's saying extra third round pick,
third round
defensive
pick,
line in the first. I think that's what he's saying.
D line in the first. Harold Fannin in the second. Scatabo with
First of three picks.
First of three picks. Receiver with the second, third, and fourth pick. Second, third, fourth pick gets best player up. Man, I had a hard time reading that, truth be told. I'm usually a little bit better than that. But has some ideas in there. First off, do you think this is a draft where we end up trading back? And do you think it matters who's sitting there at tight end or running back before you make that decision?
I'm going to hold off. I think it's going to be a last minute decision, because if there's a couple guys out there that are getting, you don't know where the draft is going to go. And the one guy I'm talking about is Ashton Genty. If he's sitting there now at 15, 16 goes by, 17 goes by, my plan might be to trade back, but I'm going to hold out and maybe hope that I can get Ashton Genty over, and that would be just a name. The two tight ends in the first round that are rumored, Loveland and Warren. I'm more with the Truth. I like the second round draft picks. I like Fannin a little. Truth. I like Arroyo. There's guys in the second round I like there. I would have said D-line as of the day until Jones started. I think with Jones starting, I think you're going to go. I think the Broncos, and I'm just giving you my opinion, I think the Broncos are going to look offense in the early rounds of the draft. I do. I think you're going to look for, and that could even mean a wide receiver at this point. It doesn't necessarily mean running back or tight end. It could mean a wide receiver as well. So it's going to be, draft will be coming up soon. Thank you for your thoughts there, Truth. I do like your thoughts, though, of trading back. If the draft isn't working as planned, get those extra picks, and you could, add Scatteraboo. I like that Scatteraboo idea, and your other later rounds as well. I do like that idea there. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm probably with Truth Be Told. I think it would be again, pretty tough to get Janty all the way to 20.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that, again, he starts slipping anywhere like around 15, and I think you need to start getting a whole lot excited and maybe think about trading up. Roy thinking that Scatteraboo is a third round type of guy. He's like the 6th or 7th on the consensus board, he says, and there's no trading up for Janty. I don't know if that's the big question. That's the big question, because again, one thing that we haven't seen from Sean Payton is this whole lot of trading up and, getting rid of draft picks. He hasn't had a whole lot of draft picks to play with as of yet. And it's the one position that we haven't seen a whole lot of movement on, is that running back position. And it's, don't get me wrong, tight end hasn't seen it either. So when we start talking about that joker role, it seems like it's all up in the air. And I just wouldn't rule out the possibility of seeing some movement and making sure that you get the guy that you want. It might be that you have two guys that if they fall into that range, either one of them, that you start looking at moving up. So, again, everything's possible. However, I do like Scatteraboo, and I hope that he falls. I hope that he continues to fall down draft boards. The later that you can get a guy, the better off you are. And so if he keeps getting pushed down, all the better for us. Have no problem with that.
I agree.
Another thing I have no problem with is our fantastic sponsor. You shouldn't have a problem with them either. They've been doing business for over 34 years, and now they're just in your backyard. Who are they? They're Morgan Trinkets. They've been doing Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, and estate gold at wholesale prices, like I said, for over 34 years. Now they just do it in your backyard. Northern Colorado, Southern Wyoming, they're doing shows all the time. Who knows when the next one is right around the corner. I think they just got done last weekend in Longmont. So that being said, if you can't get out to one of those amazing shows, you don't have to worry. They're right over there on Etsy. Just type in Morgan Trinkets Co. That's Morgan Trinkets Co. And all orders over $50 is shipped absolutely free. And check this out. All major credit cards are accepted, so you don't have to worry about, hi, how am I going to pay for this? You're all set to go. Again, Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, Estate Gold wholesale prices. And one last thing I just wanted to mention. Well, they also have silver. Sterling silver, 100% sterling silver. Go check out Morgan Trinkets. That's Morgan Trinkets over on Etsy by typing in Morgan Trinkets Co. Next show is the 23rd, Greeley Sportsman show. So check out the Greeley Sportsman show on the 23rd. Now we got to get into, Kenny. We planned a lot on this.
We did.
We thought about this, and some of our guys are kind of gone, but we still think there's, you mentioned it, big day yesterday. You start talking about guys like Dre Greenlaw, Huafonga, coming in, adding pieces that were very, very key. And then all of a sudden it kind of gets a little bit quiet today. Don't see a whole lot. You see maybe a Trent Sherfield added, little special teamer. But I think there is still more coming. And tomorrow's going to be a big day. Tomorrow's the day when everything's official. Tomorrow's the day that everyone's been waiting for, just for an Aaron Rodgers standpoint, because that's just one big shoe that's going to fall. All of a sudden, all those releases become official. And I think you'll see another kind of big run on some guys. There's still some holes for this Denver Broncos team. I got one guy queued up that you think that we should go after. We'll go back and forth a few times and talk about these gentlemen. So whenever you're ready, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, let's start with the tight end, Keith, that I have listed there, and that's Mr. Evan Ingram. Again, today is like the eye of the hurricane. Today's quiet because midnight tonight, you're going to see some players get released. Cooper Kupp was going to be released. There's going to be other players that get released because they can't find a trade partner for them. So tomorrow you're going to see the second wave of news and free agents sign. And one guy that I think the Broncos are definitely interested in is Evan Ingram. Played on the Giants. Those who don't know, I am also a Giants fan. That's true to my heart. Live in the New York area. Watched him grow with the Giants, and then he got released and went to the Jaguars. Hurt a little bit last year. There are some injury concerns, but when healthy and played a 17-game season, he was only 30 yards short of 1,000 yards. Touchdowns weren't there, but if you can get me 1,000 yards, or not even 1,000, give me 800 yards from my tight end, I'll take it. And that's what the Broncos need. They need a guy that can move the chains, get open on third downs. Mr. Evan Ingram could be that guy. He's not a good blocker, but you can work on that. But like I said, though, earlier, and I've been saying on a few earlier shows, Keith, previous shows, the Broncos have an ace up their sleeve. And you know what? I got an ace up my sleeve, too. And there's my ace. Broncos are going to be in the line for a trade. And Posse, I want your thoughts on this. This is off topic. I didn't tell Keith I was doing this.
Yeah, you got me all
off topic. Posse and Keith, I want to know your thoughts on Mark Andrews in a trade. Reason why I think it could happen, I don't think the Ravens fans have had it with him dropping those important touchdown in the playoffs. But more importantly, Isaiah Likely has been held back because of Mark Andrews. Contract is running out for Mr. Andrews. Bring him over. Might only cost a couple of your 6th-round picks. That's how I think it can get done. But would you guys like Mark Andrews as a tight end replacement to lead the tight end room in 2025? My ace up the sleeve right there.
I like the thought process, man. You did switch me up.
That's the only ace up the sleeve I have. The rest is on topic. I had to throw that one in because I do like that.
Yeah. So I'll take these in order. Evan Ingram, I think, could be that guy. I don't know if he's always had the opportunity to be fully unlocked. We've seen parts and pieces, spurts and sputters at times. But again, you're talking about Sean Payton, a guy that within an offense, absolutely adores tight ends and wants nothing more than to get them involved, it seems, until he came to the Denver Broncos, and it seems like he's had a struggle in order to try to make that happen. So Evan Ingram would be a great piece. Isaiah Likely is the piece that we should have got. Isaiah Likely was sitting there in the draft a couple of years ago when the Denver Broncos were on the board or on the clock, and I was all about it as Isaiah Likely. So you don't have to try to talk me into Isaiah Likely all that much, Kenny. To be honest, I'm going to be on board. I don't know how the rest of the posse feels about that, but great thought process. Talking about Isaiah Likely, Evan Ingram up on the screen, but Isaiah Likely is a great way.
I was talking Mark Andrews, Keith, because Isaiah Likely's being held back in Baltimore. Mark Andrews to the Broncos, but I would take it a second if I was.
Mark Andrews, Jody Moncrief, one of our horsemen, one of our podcasters that you'll see be coming back here shortly. He says he would love Andrews. Well, I'm sorry, man. I was looking through all the comments and I got all excited because you were talking about Isaiah Likely.
So I threw a curveball at you.
You sure did, man. Mark Andrews is a lot like that Zach Ertz type of guy. I would love to have him come in here on a 1-year contract. If you went that way, and an absolute ace up your sleeve if you can get that trade pulled off, which I'm not ruling out a draft day trade. That could be definitely something that we could be talking about within the context of the Denver Broncos offseason, man. But I'm going to go to the next one. And Karen was bringing in that last she heard Ingram was with the Chargers, or what he was down there talking to them after you talked to the Denver Broncos. So it's up in the air where Evan Ingram might land. Kyle Juszczyk. I got to get that right. Kyle Juszczyk. That's where I'm going next, man. I think if you're looking for a way to kind of on the defensive side of things, what we did over there, filled holes, fills needs, fill, some voids before you head into the draft. Is there a better one than Kyle Juszczyk? Because what I see is a guy that can run the ball if you need. I'm not saying he's going to be a number one running back for you, but he has that ability to tote the rock if he has to. More than anything, he is that joker type of role, especially when it comes to almost a tight end type of style position. He's a fantastic blocker. Any linebacker, cornerback, safety that sees this guy coming and thinks, is he going to block me or is he going to chip me and then go out to catch a pass, has them second guessing every time he comes out of the backfield. This is a guy that I think for the Denver Broncos, what he could bring to the field, even at the age that he is, I think he still brings so much to the table, and I would love to see Kyle Juszczyk be a Denver Bronco.
I think this would be a home run, Keith. This was your number one guy. If he wasn't your number one guy, he was going to be my top number one guy priority for the Broncos over the tight end, because this guy can fill multiple roles, like you said, can block, fills that H-back role. And we saw the Broncos wanting to do that last year with Burton. Burton had some nice, catches and some plays that were designed for him. You can design more for Juszczyk, and we've seen him, what he's done in San Francisco, come up with some plays. You forget about him on the defensive side when you got other weapons to worry about. You forget Juszczyk, and there's Juszczyk wide open, moving the chains on a big third down and long play. So would be a home run, in my opinion, in a Sean Payton style offense. And I would not be surprised if the Broncos make him an offer sooner than later.
I saw the comment, maybe if he's the right price, if he's cheap, says Roy Osborne. The one thing that I would say is, man, you look at the running back market, and guys are signing for under 10 million on 1-year contracts. And the fullback market, that's a tough one. Not every team even carries a fullback. A fullback market is not one that you usually see a big overpay or even an underpay. They kind of just hang around, maybe, I don't know, $3 to $6 million from top to bottom per year. It's not going to cost you a whole lot to go out there and get a fullback regardless of the name. And I think the price is going to be right if you're out there and you're looking. And I think that, again, this is a dynamic piece that you can add, kind of fill a hole, have people second guessing what you're doing, and give you a potentially maybe like a small joker. Karen says, what are the 49ers doing though? Their fans are whining today. The 49ers went all in for 2 years trying to get to the Super Bowl. 2 years. And they did it 1 year. They got to the Super Bowl 1 year, one of those 2 years, but they'd been doing it for 2 years. And now they got to go out there and they got to pay a quarterback and one Brock Purdy. And they're getting everything lined up for that. Plus, I mean, they Kittle's under contract, and they still have some other pieces, and Christian McCaffrey is still there, but can't hold all these pieces together forever. And the one thing I will say, as I saw all these free agents leaving the 49ers, man, are they going to be loaded up with comp picks, Kenny? They're going to have more comp picks coming their direction than you can possibly imagine. Heck, they might be getting 2 just because of the Denver Broncos alone. So, it's part of when it all starts comes calling. You know what I mean? It can't live forever, and that's kind of where you're at. Where do you want to go next, Kenny?
Let's hit a couple of running backs, because running backs are a big need. The Broncos lost. We saw Javonte Williams sign with the Cowboys, so Javante's not coming back. That leaves Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, and Blake Watson, practice squad guy, as the running backs on the roster. So you have to upgrade somewhere. So if it's not, alone in the draft, we got a couple guys listed here. And Keith, it's starting to be rumbled around a little more, these names. When you and I you go check out our articles on Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We did Dark Horse Free Agents about a month ago. Mm-hmm. Keith and I have these 2 running backs that I have listed. The first one is getting a lot of talk now, is J.K. Dobbins. And Keith and I both love J.K. Dobbins coming to the Broncos. Last year, he played with the rival Chargers and was healthy most of the year last year and had a breakout year. He ran for 1,000 yards, just short of 1,000 yards. And the Chargers are not bringing him back. They just re-signed Najee Harris. I think he could be a cheap option for, your veteran back in the running back room, and take Javonte Williams' spot in that running back room. I'm not saying, in the draft, still go get a rookie, but he can be your leader in the running back room, and would only cost you roughly, I would think, about somewhere around $6 million. I think it would cost you.
Yeah, it's not going to cost you much more than that. And I just look at the type of guy that he is. Now, again, I think you're still looking at upgrading in the future. You're in the very near future. Could be this draft. He could be the Cam Scatterbo in the 3rd round, like Roy was talking about, if he falls that far down. But having a guy like J.K. Dobbins, a guy that is an absolute just grinder, pounder, that gets it done between the tackles, at the goal line, add that to your team as well. Why not? Why not? Go ahead and add that in. Have a little bit of thunder and lightning as well. I think that J.K. Dobbins, and honestly, the way that the Chargers have been going with some of their releases, and There's rumors that they kind of want him back. Can they get that done? Let's make it tough for him. Go out and get J.K. Dobbins,
Yeah.
steal him from an AFC West rival, and there you have it. You're all set to go.
Love it. Let's hit the other running back we got. That this was on your dark horse free agent list.
There you go.
And not as many rumblings about him, but I do think the talk is going to start coming. And that's he was hurt all of last year, bad injury, but Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
And Keith, I'm going to let you start with Nick Chubb because he, like I said, he was your dark horse guy. And I think he'd be a good fit for the Broncos as well.
Yeah. You look at a guy that's, when at his best is one of the scariest guys in the NFL. Went out there, it was expected to be a huge part of that Cleveland Browns team. Even started the year off pretty good before going down with an injury. And obviously that sidelined him. But if you go back and you look at what Nick Chubb does when healthy, exactly what you're looking for. A fantastic pass catcher, a true threat in between the tackles, and not a liability when it comes to the pass blocking. Again, with the current running back market, it's not going to cost you a ton of money. And all of a sudden, maybe he's not your vision for the future, but he plugs a hole in where you feel like, again, we're maybe not the strongest, and you want to have a little bit better position before heading into the NFL draft. I like it. David Youngkin coming in saying Chubb has injury issues, and I agree. And I get where you're coming from. This is that, again, we've gotten through the main wave, and we took a few chances on Dre Greenlaw and Huafonga, who have some injury issues as well. This is not your end answer. This is not your solution. This is your guy that you're putting into place. I hate to even bring up the name because of all the bad, juju that I guess you could say is around it, or at least what a lot of people's interpretation of this particular player was. But Melvin Gordon was back there with Javonte Williams when Javonte Williams was one of the better running backs in the league. And that was a great tandem. Now, we never expected Melvin Gordon to be the bell cow with Javonte sitting there. But dang, he certainly did help out, and he was a true leader as well. A guy that I think that J.K. Dobbins could be, a guy that I think that Nick Chubb could be for anybody that comes in.
Jerry is on Facebook. He's saying there's no one in this chat. There's a lot of people chatting on YouTube, Jerry. And if you're chatting on Rocky Mountain Sports Network, if you want to switch over to Denver Bronco Roundup, there's some people chatting in there. And I can chat with you as well if you have any questions in there, Jerry. So apologize for that. So a lot of people probably are on YouTube and Denver Bronco Roundup, Jerry. So if you want to switch over, we'll be able to chat with you a little bit.
Truth be told is asking how much. How much do you think a Nick Chubb contract would cost on a 1 year?
A 1 year? That's a great question, Truth. And I think it would be a signing bonus, incentive-friendly deal because of a lot of people being nervous about the injuries. Give him $4 million, and you get an extra $250,000 every game over 12 games that you play. And anything over 6 touchdowns, you get an extra $200,000. So a lot of incentives included in that deal. But a little maybe $1 million signing bonus and give them $4 million with some incentives. That would be in that range. I would go. And real quick, Keith, just to clarify, I would bring in Nick Chubb if it meant me getting one of the top 5 running back rookies in this draft. As high as Ashton Genty, you bring in Nick Chubb as your veteran backup. Henderson, Hampton, a couple other names. That's how I would bring in Nick Chubb, but not to be my starter where he's going to get the ball 25 times a game, because that's where the injuries come in. But to be the spell guy, absolutely.
Like it, buddy. Well, I guess we could almost go a dark horse from another horseman here. We have one more running back left.
One more running back, and that's for those 1990s cheesy one-hit wonders. Remember that singer Gerardo? Well, there he is. Rico Dodley. That's gonna hit. You watch. That's gonna hit. Especially if he became a Bronco. We got to make that happen. We got to do the Gerardo every week. That'd be fun.
There you go.
For those who knows those 90 cheesy 90 one-hit wonders, Mr. Rico Dodley. Yeah, my rival as a Giants fan. He came on last year. I'm a little concerned he might be one of those one-hit wonders. The Cowboys, when they lost Dak Prescott, they really had no quarterback to really, to throw the ball to anyone besides CeeDee Lamb. So he became more of a ball hog in the backfield. I know Trevor loves him. He's not here tonight to defend him, so I don't want to say too many bad things about him. But like Ernie doesn't want any Chiefs, I don't want any Cowboys. So that's just me and Ernie get along there. So I don't want to say anything bad about him. I think he could be a good fit in the right system. So if he does become a Bronco, we'll have fun with the Gerardo every week and get Trevor to sing it.
There you go. If for those of you a little throwback there.
Hey, Rico Dodley.
Rico Suave back in the day. Gotta love him. Gotta love him. It would be nice to add again an additional running back, and maybe help that out a little bit and shore up that room. I'm not sure what we're going to get when it comes to, Audric Estime, Jaleel McLaughlin. These are our Blake Watson. These are our big options right now. Love to see some upgrades. David Youngkin, just one of a couple of people that have told us that Joey Bosa is down the road. We were going to get into some AFC West people, some AFC West teams, but I don't think we're going to have the time this evening. Joey Bosa leaving the Los Angeles Chargers. A lot of people thinking that he would be able to team up with his brother in the San Francisco 49ers. He ends up going to the Bills on a 1-year, $12 million contract. And honestly, probably a better spot to go in there and maybe win a championship and be part of a rotational defense that can wreak some havoc as well. So talking about some of the tight ends, truth be told, is a big one on Fannin. And he says, what about Ferguson? Bo's old teammate as well. These are all options that we'll be having to look at as we go down the road. I mean, the one thing I would say, Ferguson did not have a really good NFL combine. He kind of fell off because of that. Fannin obviously has been doing quite well throughout the process. So there's a couple of, Fannin is a guy that should garner some interest and some thought process around him. But I'm not saying that Ferguson's out. It would just be better if he would have had a little bit better NFL combine.
I like Fannin more than Ferguson. If Ferguson was to drop and the Broncos, let's say, didn't go get a free agent or trade for a tight end, you might see the Broncos double dip for tight end. If Ferguson was to drop, I wouldn't rule that out if he was, to slip in the draft a little bit. But I do like Fannin a lot better than Ferguson.
Pearl was asking a little bit earlier, just kind of wrapping up on a few questions and a few thoughts as I scroll back through all these comments. Will we get any comp picks? The downside is for every time that you lose somebody, you possibly gain a comp pick. It depends upon how well they perform after they leave your team. And then if you sign somebody, though, in free agency and they perform similarly well in their class, that's going to just cancel everything out right there. So with us adding Dre Greenlaw, for instance, for us adding Huafonga already, for us adding even Trent Sherfield, for that matter, could come into play into context of losing a Cody Barton, losing a Riley Dixon, losing a Javonte Williams. All those could be canceled out and we could have nothing next year just based on that alone. So that's kind of how it works. Now, if you look at the 49ers, and we were kind of talking about comp picks a little bit earlier when they came up, they've lost so many players and they have not necessarily went out and went shopping and tried to replace it with a bunch of other free agents. That's why you're going to see those guys in the next year and they actually got a few even in this year. They did quite well as far as comp picks if you're looking through it for this year's draft. The 49ers are probably going to get a haul when it comes to comp picks. It just looks to be the way.
Keith, one more quick thing on Rico Dodley. I'm not going to sing the song anymore, I promise.
Okay, thank you.
Javonte Williams just signed with the Cowboys.
Yes.
Rico Dodley did not re-sign yet with the Cowboys. What does that tell you, chat, posse, Bronco fans? Javonte Williams, who we saw how he was with our Broncos last year, wasn't great, signed before Rico Dodley. So big no for me. I know Trevor's not here to defend him. We'll have to ask Trevor that Friday on the next Bronco Roundup why he likes Dodley so much, especially with Javonte signing before him with Dallas. So we're going to put him on the spot Friday. I'll ask that question in the chat, which I'll be in the chat on Friday with you all.
Yeah, it'll be well, it'll be interesting. My answer was you can't take what Jerry does down in Dallas and try to put any straightforward thinking and try to have any expectations of what he's doing down there. Remember last year they were all in. They were all in last year, and it was one of the most disappointing years for them in free agency and overall for the year after Dak Prescott gets hurt. And it'll be interesting to see what they do there. But I just digress out of the Cowboys. The Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos are what we're all about. So, David Youngkin, just a few more thoughts. If I was Denver, I would draft 2 tight ends and running back. I don't know if that's two tight ends and 2 running backs or 2 tight ends and a running back.
I do think that would be hard to do both, but I could see 2 running backs or 2 tight ends with those 6th-round draft picks. 3 of them, you can maybe draft a second one there in one of those positions.
This is my big until I hear otherwise, right? This is my tinfoil hat. One of these days I said I'm gonna make one so I can pop it on whenever I need. My tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. A draft day trade for James Cook. The Buffalo Bills have yet to come to an agreement on a contract with Buffalo Bills James Cook.
Ace up his sleeve.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Just a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. Go out there, trade for a James Cook, bring him in. I don't know. Again, if your guys are gone, if Sean Payton's a big Ashton Genty and then a big Omarion Hampton guy, and they're both gone by 20, you need to start looking at some options.
I'm going to give you guys. I'm in the New York area. New York radio was talking about this today, Keith. I'll be real quick. Talking about running backs. The Jets have a young one that they like a lot in Braylon Allen. They may look to shop Breece Hall. Breece Hall at 20 is intriguing to me because if you're looking for a running back, Breece Hall, in my opinion, right now is better than Henderson or Hampton, who didn't have a down in the NFL. Breece Hall, it's in my opinion, is a top 5 running back in the league. Very intriguing at 20 if Breece Hall becomes available.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I need to take a look at this, David. We'll be on Friday. Check us out then. I'll take a look at our top 30 visits. I did see one come across the wire right before we came on, and for the life of me, all of a sudden now I can't remember who the heck it was.
They did have Janty interviewed. They did interview with Janty. I know that much.
Well, the top 30s when they bring them into the facilities haven't happened yet. Gotcha. Obviously every prospect is going to be talked to. Any top prospect is going to be talked to at the NFL Combine. But those top 30s, we'll see what's going on there. Phil, we did talk about Sherfield a little bit earlier. Like I said, hoping that we get that great replacement for Tremon Smith. Tremon Smith was a true special team pro. Sherfield's been kind of living that role for about 5 years now. Hope that he can come in. I haven't looked at a whole lot of, a whole lot of Trent Sherfield tape as a special teamer. But we obviously saw something in this gentleman, enough to go out there and make sure that we got him inked up on a contract in free agency. That tells me a little bit of something right there.
Yeah.
I think that they see enough in him that, again, they knew they wanted to have that gunner replacement for Tremont Smith, and Trent Sherfield just might be that guy.
Yes.
Man, another crazy show in the books, man. It's like an hour, but we got a few final thoughts before we get out of here, Kenny.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys one last name, Azeez Ojulari. As a Giants fan, I love him. And you know what? I'm real quick. Giants signed James Hudson III. You guys are saying, who's James Hudson III? James Hudson III, offensive tackle, 4th round from the Browns, played at the University of Cincinnati. And I said, why do I know this name? Well, a few years back, Cincinnati and Georgia played in the college football playoffs. Hudson was lined up over Ojulari, and Hudson got hurt, and Ojulari was in the backfield every play after Hudson was knocked out of the game. Had a career game. I said, man, this guy's got to be a draft pick the Giants get, and they did get him in the 2nd round. Some injury problems there, but in 5 games he started last year, 7 sacks. He could be a depth piece on that front line at a cheap number, and again, incentive-friendly deal. So that could be a free agent on the defensive side to look out for, that nobody's talked about for the Broncos. Add a little depth there behind Jonathan Cooper and Nick Benito and Ellis. So get a little defensive end edge help there. That would be my last guy. But Posse, you guys are awesome with the side chat. I like chatting with you guys in the side there as well. Enjoy free agency tomorrow, because there's going to be a second wave of signings. There's going to be some new names talked about, and it's going to be, I think, something big coming the Broncos' way, whether it's through a trade or in free agency. I think the Broncos are going to go a little offense with some signings, and maybe Azeez, who I don't think he's going back to the Giants. So what better spot for him, because I love him when he's on the field. Go to the Broncos. But thank you, guys. Enjoy free agency tomorrow. Keith and Trevor will be on Friday with any new breaking stuff that comes up for the Broncos. I think you guys are going to be happy. Friday, I think there's going to be an offensive weapon or two. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. I did get Azeez Ojulari up there. Looks like quite the freak athlete, but you probably know a little bit more than I do.
University of Georgia. So we know those Georgia guys from Philadelphia Eagles. Well, we had at least one.
There you go. Phil, I did see your stars a little bit earlier. If I saw it right, it was when you were asking about some 3rd-round sleepers. It'll be interesting to see exactly what we're able to do when it comes to the 3rd round. This is a Denver Broncos team that would just finally has the draft picks to be flexible in what they do. He says there's a lot of sleepers in the 3rd round. It seems like many positions we will look for will be available. He likes Trey Weidig, which would be a 3rd round pick, which was a little surprising to me, Phil. Not a whole lot of talk about right tackles right now. And thanks for the 100 stars coming in and donating to the show. But it's someplace that, again, if the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton, George Payton, they keep talking about reinvesting into the trenches. Hey, this is a spot, man. You can't expect these guys to be here forever. I wouldn't expect that we just completely ignore offensive and defensive line. It's going to be interesting, whether it's 3rd round, 5th round, 7th round. Again, I think there's a lot of opportunity to add some depth. It'll be interesting to see who the Denver Broncos value, what positions, and where they go from round to round, because I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think there'll be a lot more if we fill some of these holes, and people have been talking. I want to get a running back in here, want to get a tight end in here. We should get that tight end in free agency. That was another comment that I saw as well. Again.
And Keith, I want to just say one last thing, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
I think what puts us, we always say this, and we mean it from the bottom of the heart. We love And I'm part of the posse too. I've been part of the posse. Now I'm part of the Denver Bronco Roundup, one of the horsemen. But we love you guys and everybody out there. You know, there are too many names to name, but I have homework for next week. A lot of you asked about punters earlier. I'm going to find a couple punters in the draft in the 6th round that could be options for the Broncos. And Phil, for you, if you're here next Tuesday, I'm going to find 3 third-round sleepers for the Broncos and give you guys that list of third-round sleepers that I think could be good fits for the Broncos in the 3rd round for you guys.
Awesome, man. Kenny giving himself homework, man. That's something I could, you couldn't get me to do when it was assigned back in the day, Kenny, let alone get me to sign up for my own. Just got to give a lot of things. Peter coming in here, he's looking for an Australian punter to come in here, but I just wanted to say hello and goodbye to everybody, like Peter, like Michael, like Pearl and Karen and Phil McLaughlin, like David Yunkin and Jerry that came in.
Truth be told, our new member.
I was just about ready to say that. Truth be told, our brand new viewer, listener, watcher, Jeremy Dressler. Thank you so much for good to see you, buddy.
Out there. Jerry as well.
Jerry, if I didn't mention it, I thought I did. Paul came in here as well. Again, just an amazing group. Biggie Bronco, thank you. Ernie Mays, if I didn't say it already. Just an amazing group of people. Roy Osborne. I get like 2 words out and then I see another name. No, seriously. To every single one of you, we've been rocking with you for multiple years now. We're putting out multiple episodes a week. We've seen amazing, just strides, and that's all because of you. Every like, every share, every subscribe. Remember, that means a whole lot, and we appreciate you guys a ton. If you're able to go out there and be able to drop stars, Phil McLaughlin, Michael Ronquillo, thank you for this evening. Being able to do that helps us out even that much more. But again, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. We go live every Friday, every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m., or every Tuesday and every Friday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We just had one of our emergency episodes yesterday, so you never know when you might be dropping another one. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, especially over on YouTube. We're available on Apple Podcasts. We're available on Spotify. Take us with you. Hit the gym. Get your drive down the road. We'd love to be a part of what you do when it's not just a live time. Take us on the road and listen to us on the go. And hey, if you want to reach out, at least for me, I'm over there on the good old X. Check me out at Keith Brugman. That's at Keith Brugman. Love to be able to continue the chat over there as well. So remember our fantastic sponsor, Morgan Trinkets Co. over on Etsy. And other than that, man, I think it's about time we get rolling on out of here. Thank you all so very much for, again, all your support, your love, and your appreciation. We get out of here really just one way only. How's that? Well, we say keep your feet, those boots right there in the stirrups, your guns in the holsters, and the Denver Broncos in your heart until, Friday. Hope to see you all then, 7:30 Mountain Standard Time. Until then, go Broncos. Let's get out of here. Have a great week, everybody.